Right, and welcome back everyone to the 21st episode of the My Generation podcast. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about universities and societies. As a university student, I've always loved the involvement and interactivity of societies across the university, and I study here where we're recording at Canterbury Christ Church. So today I wanted to interview and talk to Megan Cork, who has done work within the societies at Canterbury Christ Church University. Welcome to the show, Megan.
Hello, Max. Thank you for letting me join you today.
No problem. So you've had an involvement in the past with Canterbury Christ Church's societies. Would you like to go through what you've done?
So I was, like Max, I was a student at Christ Church for 3 years when I was doing my undergrad. So I was part of various societies. I was part of Harry Potter. I was part of show choir. I was part of pole fitness. And then after that, I worked at the student union. So I was doing communications there, so I was working closely with the societies and I got to know all the students in the societies.
So the work you did involving societies, was that helping to promote them, getting awareness?
Yeah, so like getting the word out, trying to encourage students to join societies and also students who may not have already known about them to come and get involved. Because
I feel like unless you go to like the Freshers' Fair where all the societies get promoted, you kind of would otherwise miss them.
Yeah, and I think I think that is so true, and I think it's reaching students who we may not always reach. So there'll be some students who are part of a sport or do football or hockey or are part of, have done music, who will automatically want to join a society when they come to Christ Church. There'll be other students who may not have been a part of a sports team at school or may not have a hobby which has a massive following. So it's about reaching those students who don't already know about it.
Yeah, and knowing that they can also start a society if it's quite an obscure thing.
And we want to, and at Christ Church SU, we wanted to reach as many and engage as many Christ Church students as possible. So that, like Max just said, one of the main things was actually letting students know that they can start up their own societies, and that societies and sports are inclusive for everyone. And
they can be quite niche, because Harry Potter's quite a niche society, isn't it?
And so with societies, they are so varied. So on one end, you've got Harry Potter, you've got Doctor Who, you've got Disney. On the other end, you've got language societies, you've got politics, you've got feminists, you've got LGBT. And then you've also got things like music, show choir, musical theatre.
Yeah.
So there's a society for everyone.
Yeah, and so when you joined, did you throw yourself straight into the society?
Yeah, so I was a commuting student, so I knew that I would have to work harder to make friends. I didn't have housemates who I could naturally bond with. So, yeah, so show choir and Harry Potter were the ones I was part of in first year. And it really helped me. It really helped me make friends and made me feel part of the Christ Church community.
You see, for me, I live at home still. I'm not a commuting student as much because I live in Canterbury, but I can understand that whole not having a housemates group that you've got to go back to of an evening. So did you find that the societies were your way into Canterbury socially?
Yeah, definitely. First term, everybody I went out with was show choir. So we'd have our rehearsals on the Thursday, and you got to know each other pretty well then. But it was really the Wednesday night socials that you got to know people and you bonded. So I remember being absolutely terrified because when I started, I thought, there's all these second and third years who all know each other and they're all going to have their friendship group. But the more you go along, the more you realise actually everybody's a massive group and everybody just wants to make friends. People join societies to meet new people, and that's what they want. So everybody's included, and it will give you something in common. It will give you something to talk about. And then throughout the year, we'd go out on nights out. We had shows. It was a really bonding thing.
So you mentioned also Wednesday socials. So that's a time for people to, away from the society, get to talking.
Yeah. So it depends on the society. Some societies may not do it, but other ones will generally maybe go to the pub. But that's not, you don't have to do that. It's not compulsory. What's great is about societies is that they've got such a wide range of people that some people will love going out, but some people just prefer a night in and watching films.
Yeah.
And societies are very inclusive. They want their members to feel welcome and feel comfortable. So they'll do lots of different activities. And actually, if they're not already doing it, ask them, because it's for you. Societies are for students, run by students.
And so for you, what made you, when you finished your degree, what made you then want to get involved in a work aspect?
I just loved it. It's just the environment. It was so much fun, and no day was the same. It was so interactive with students. That's what I loved it. I loved the days where students would come to me. I could work with students. I did photo shoots with students. I did interviews with students. I loved the student aspect. That was my favourite bit. And still just being involved, and it's exciting. You never know what's going to happen. It's dynamic, and that's what was so much fun. And I'm going to be a student again this year.
Nice.
And I'm excited about getting involved again, and coming back and being part of the.
So you're going to be
Christ Church
back
community.
involved.
I'm back here
As a student.
as a student.
Yeah. And so that's going to be interesting going back. So you've done student, then worked with the societies.
Yeah, and I think coming back, I understand the effort that the SU put in to make these sports and societies, the effort they put in to actually make them happen. I think Christ Church SU does so much for the students. There's so much behind the scenes that students don't see. So it was interesting in that aspect. But I think it will also helped maximise my experience, because before I worked there I knew some aspects of it, but equally there are other aspects that I didn't know much about. I didn't know about union council, I didn't understand about representation, just other areas in the union that you can get involved in other than sports and societies.
Yeah, because I think those all kind of go under the radar unless you're made aware of them.
Yeah.
It could be very easy, especially as a commuting student, to just go do your couple hours of lectures, go home, study at home and revise and get ready for essays, and then do that for 3 years.
And that's one of the things that's what Christ Church Students' Union is working on at the moment, is expanding engagement with students who aren't necessarily part of a society or a sports team. They are the active and engaged students, but actually we've got so many more students who we would love to get involved, whether that's for events or through taking part in union council, or even part of their own societies, like expanding the range of societies so that every student at Christ Church can feel included.
Especially if you're encouraging people to start them as well. So what's the process of creating a society like?
So creating a society is very simple. Before you create it, what you'll do is go onto the ccsu.co.uk website, click on the, I think it's society, so I should probably know about this, but there's a society section, and there'll be a proposal form for you to download. The proposal form will be giving a name, what the mission of the society is. You will also need 5 students who are interested in joining the society. So this will be the society committee. So in order to create a new society, you need 5 interested students. You'll send that to Becky Thompson, who is the President of Development. So that'll be Becky at ccsu.co.uk. Her and Adam Roach, who is the Opportunities Manager, will invite the students in for a meeting to have a bit more of a chat about what they want from their society. So once you've done that, and once you've decided you want to do that, your society will be put up on the website. You'll be invited to Freshers' Fair, and the Students' Union will help you reach students. It is a very student-led thing, so it will be up to you to give word of mouth, but the Students' Union will help you reach students
and
as
it
well.
gives you quite transferable skills, because you're having to market and run your own thing.
So actually, and it also counts towards volunteering. So if you're on the society committee, it counts towards volunteering hours.
Yeah.
And like Max said, you might be running social media, you'll be organising events. There'll be so many different ways for you to get involved, and it looks great on your CV. And actually, if you sign your own society, you'll be instrumental in giving students opportunities to make new friends at Christ Church.
Yeah, because I think once it's so student-led, you've got to then actually put it out. And the word of mouth bit's probably one of the hardest bits, but if everyone's going there with the intent to. So is the Freshers' Fair quite a big event?
Freshers' Fair is, it's a massive event. It's at Augustine House. It's spread out between the atrium and Augustine Hall. So it's an event where you get all the sports and all the societies. They run stalls. You also get people like Domino's giving away free pizza.
They do give away a lot of pizza.
There's a lot of freebies, so if you love freebies, that's great. If you're a bit nervous about crowds, the first hour, I believe it's between 10 and 11, is going to be a quiet hour. So lights will be turned down. There won't be any music. So if you do get nervous in massive crowds, that is the perfect time to come along. See what you can get involved in. It can be such a scary thing, joining a society. But actually, when you get involved, it's completely worth it. So take that risk. Come along. And if you're nervous, message the society. They may be able to introduce you to an existing society member who can come and meet you before your first social or your first society gathering.
Ah, interesting. And is a society something you can join throughout the year, or does it have to be at the start?
So societies you can join throughout the year. Because it's not a sport and there aren't fixtures or games, it's really flexible about when you join. So if you don't join now, but you decide to join in January, still join, and don't feel as though you're strange because you haven't, because actually societies are there all year round and they're there for you, so come anytime.
Yeah, and I think that flexibility is quite important, because some people might think, oh, I've missed the Freshers' Fair, like this podcast is coming out after the Freshers' Fair, but listeners know that this is something you can still do.
Yeah, this is definitely something you can still do, and also give things a go. If there's something that you're interested in and you've never done before, go along.
So try new.
Try new things, and you can try as many different. Most societies, the first session will be a taster. So even if you see 10 societies that you're interested in, go along in the first few weeks. Go along to everything, and then you can narrow down your choices. The more you try, the more chance that you'll have of finding somewhere that you feel like you really belong.
Yeah, and that belonging is so important when you're at university for so long. If you're just coming in and starting now, or even if you've only got a year left, you have the flexibility for finding groups, because it's, as you said, you can dip in and out of societies.
Yeah, so with me and my societies, I did dip in and out. So show choir, I was, depending on how busy I was, I would be part of it, and then I wouldn't be part of it for a while, then I'd go back. And actually, I was still always welcome. Same with Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So even if it's something that you do for the first term and you decide actually it's not for me, and you try something else, that doesn't matter, and you still make friends. So I'm still friends from societies from 4 or 5 years ago.
And so do you all still like or see each other semi-regularly as well?
I would say there aren't many people I see, just because we've kind of all moved on, but I've got several friends from societies who, whenever they're in town, I will see them.
Lovely.
So another thing about societies now is they have inclusion officers. I think they're called. So the idea is they're on committee. It's a compulsory role. If you've got any issues, if there are any members who feel homesick or are struggling with anything, these inclusion officers are there to help. So if you're worrying about exams or you're feeling anxious, you can go to that student and they'll help you out. So regardless of, you'll always be welcome, and there's always someone who's there for you. And if you've got any problems with if you feel as though there's someone who's not being very nice to you, or you feel as though there's someone who's excluding you, you can go to that student. They're there to help every student.
Well, there's no suffering in silence, really, with a society, is there?
No. That's what's great, that's what societies are there for. University is fun and busy, and it can be stressful at times, and societies are there to help you take your mind off your work and have a great time. Yeah,
because I feel like otherwise you could spend a lot of time just focused on your work and being very much inside just yourself, but a society kind of gives you a window into socialising, but also if then you need to go to someone, you've got that crowd there.
Yeah.
And what would you say to someone who's maybe they haven't really done anything like this before, they haven't really been part of a social group that's quite large, or larger than what they're used to? What would you say to someone new?
So I would say take baby steps. Still get involved. Have a chat with the society Freshers' Fair or afterwards, drop them a message. If you're really nervous about walking into a massive group, ask them if you can meet someone beforehand. So if the first group if their first social is in a pub, say, can I meet someone from society outside the pub? I would say you can make adjustments to make it easier and make it baby steps.
Yeah, and you do have to put in that initial effort to actually go and say something to someone, but the effort once put in, it's surprising how quickly you can get in.
And it could also be worth being vulnerable and saying, actually, I am really nervous. Chances are everybody else in the society will be feeling the same thing. They won't say it because they want to appear like everything's fine, but everybody will be feeling nervous. And the more you can be open about it, that's bonding.
Yeah, and because everyone, as you said, is going there with the same sort of general... Yeah. It's like we met through for a social media app called Meetup, which has the same sort of thing where you're just going there to meet new people.
And that's terrifying. The first one I was so scared about. Then you get to meet people and you recognise faces. Yeah. And then you all get really close.
And because I think they both sort of go hand in hand, Meetup and the societies, the idea of everyone's there for the same reason, and that makes it much easier rather than walking into what you might perceive as a social group that's known each other forever. But so this is just the example of Christ Church. Is this something that applies to all unis throughout the country?
I assume so. So I've just started working at Kent Union. I'm such a big traitor. Working at Kent, employed at Kent Union.
She's gone up the hill.
Yeah, I've gone up the hill. They do have the same, so they've got sports and societies up there. It will be every students' union around the country will have it. Big universities may have more. But it is something that every student at every university can get involved in. Yeah. And there will also be other things, so there'll be events going on. The university and the students' unions will be running a freshers' events where you can meet people.
And for you, so tracing it all the way back to when you started university, what was the main driving force behind you joining your first society?
Meet new people and make friends.
Yeah.
So the first society I joined was show choir. And that was partly because I watched Glee. I was like, that looks really fun. And it was so much fun. Yeah. It was to meet new people. That was the reason I went to university. The degree was I changed my mind in the end. The degree ended up being really important to me. But the main reason I went to university was to meet new people and have that university experience. And it definitely did that. And societies definitely enhanced that. I met people on my course, and I'm still really close to people on my course. But yeah, societies definitely made that experience.
Yeah, so it's and was show choir something you'd actually done before the societies? Or?
I had always liked the idea of singing, but I'd always found traditional choirs a little bit. I didn't like the idea of singing hymns. Yeah. So coming onto show choir where you were singing pop songs and musicals, It was fun. It was fun, and everybody was lovely, and easy to get along with.
Yeah. And were you involved in the committee side of those?
No, I was never involved in committee. That was one thing. I didn't want to commit myself. Yeah. Unless I knew at the time. I had a part-time job as well, and there was a lot of other... I was part of quite a few societies.
Especially with the commuting.
Yes, especially with the commuting. But I would say if I was going to go back and do it again, I would get involved in a committee. It's that additional layer of belonging. You're really part of something, and if you're in a committee, you are instrumental in making that thing happen.
I guess if you're only doing one or two societies, it's a bit easier when you can go all in, but you sort of spread it out across societies.
Yeah.
Would you give any advice to students who are commuter students? Because I think that it's something that I don't hear enough about, a student who has to travel in. What are the things that you did to make your experience at university great, despite the commute?
So I was quite lucky. My commute wasn't too long, but as I didn't live in Canterbury, I lived in Charlton, and the final bus was at 6:20, and I had to walk down a dark country road.
Yes.
On my way back from the station, so I was very limited with when I could get back. Luckily, I had supportive parents who would occasionally pick me up from the station. I would say really making the effort with societies. Make the most of that commute. If you've got quite a long commute, read on your commute. Yeah. So then when you're at home, you can relax, do other things. may also work with other people, go to the library with other people. If there's other people in your course who you know are also doing essays, say, can we all study together?
Yeah.
Depending on how you work, by the end of it, I realised I really wasn't getting much done. But occasionally, when you haven't got any imminent deadlines, it's a great way to bond with people.
Yeah.
Just sitting at computers together.
Yeah, because you're all in the same space, doing the same thing, and that's not the longest commute, but it's a commute nonetheless, and because it forces you to have to be away from the city at a certain time.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm quite lucky being in Canterbury, even though I work outside the city. When I'm in my university setting, everything feels very included in Christ Church. I can just be in Canterbury and it's all going on, but.
So also being aware of things like bus and train times. And if you know, you can still go out. So still go along to the socials. But just remember that you probably won't be able to stay out as late. So also join societies that you think you'll be able to work around. Still join it, but also think, actually, does this society work around my schedule? And there may be other societies who are perfectly happy with going for early evening drinks and doing movie evenings, which means you can get away easily. Also consider if you're a driver, if you're likely to be drinking, find another way home. If you meet somebody, meet some friends and see if you can crash on their sofa for the night.
Yeah, but plan that in advance.
Plan it in advance. It just involves a bit more planning.
Yeah.
That's all it is think, okay, if I've got a night out, where can I stay?
Yeah, or even if the society itself runs into the evening.
Yeah.
Like if you're a part of like a society which is 6 till 8 in the evening, as you said with your commute, that wouldn't really work.
Yeah. So when I was very lucky in my show choir, it turned out there was another girl who lived in the village. So her boyfriend would pick us up.
Lovely.
And that was just total coincidence. But that was lovely, and then we bonded on those car drives, and we became really close friends. And
those coincidences are going to happen if you keep putting yourself out there.
And that's one of the things, keep on putting yourself out there. It's very hard to think when you go to university, no one's going to like me. I mean, it's very easy to think that. But the more you put yourself out there and the more you talk to people, everybody's got friends at university. I've not met one person who hasn't had friends. It's so completely normal I went along to university thinking everyone's going to hate me. It's so completely normal. The more people you talk to and the more you think, I will make friends, the more likely.
Well, it's easy to like arrive alone and still get involved.
Yeah. And it's such a hard, especially if you're a commuter, it can seem so daunting to make friends. There are lots of different ways. So there's also Tuesday Chill. So that's from 5 till 7 in Augustine House. It's run by the SU. And you can have coffee, you can have toast, and it's just a way to meet people who just prefer something a bit more low, key and quiet.
Yeah. Oh, so is that a networking thing, or people come in groups?
People come and go. Jamie, the president of Wellbeing's there. Student support's there, Christ Church sport's there. If you're feeling a bit lonely, need someone to talk to, it's a great chance to meet people, de-stress, get away from work. And it's great, we've had some people turn up with guitars.
Nice, yeah. Someone singing Wonderwall.
Board games.
Board games are the best for getting to know people. It's like, I know this will be already done by the time this podcast's out, but the lounge has a board game night on in September, I think. I think even with Meetup, where we've met, there's the board games that we do every Sunday as well. I don't know what it is about board games, but they really connect people.
Especially Connect 4.
Yeah, which I'm very good at.
I'm not so good.
I don't even think I gave you a game at Connect 4, from what I remember. We'll have to have a game.
We'll just have a game soon.
It's very, very intense Connect 4 with our group.
Yeah, especially they do it very quickly.
Yeah.
Speaking at 4, well, if you did hear this and decided that you'd like to have a go at playing some more board games, feel free to contact the lounge, who may be able to arrange more. I think that's one of the things that both the lounge and CCSU want is we want more students giving their feedback on what they want their students union to do. If you've got an idea on an event or on a society, get in touch. They are there for you.
Yeah.
So if you want something different, tell them and they can make those changes.
And if you're willing to host like one-off events or whatnot, then they might happen. If you want to host a board game night, you can just go and contact them.
Yeah, and if you want them to host a board game night, contact them and they can host it for you.
Yeah.
So they are there to help give you these opportunities.
Lovely. Well, that's what Megan and I have had to say so far about the university experience and societies. But do you have a story to tell on this subject? If so, feel free to leave us a comment here on YouTube, or you can contact the Facebook page at the My Generation Podcast, and we'll be featuring comments over the next few episodes. If there are any comments for Megan, we'll try and pass them on to her as well, so we can keep the conversation going. Now, usually we go to local impacts, but we've kind of already touched on it because the whole show is local. So I just wanted to tease a few more topics we've got coming up, namely next week's, where we're going to be talking to Joe about films. Now, next week, I'm going to try and spin it into a bit of a Halloween special, and as this episode's coming out on the 24th of October, if memory serves me correct. And we're going to be talking to Joe about movies. Halloween special. We're going to try and focus on horror and also some sci-fi movies because we're both big sci-fi fans. So if you want to talk movies again with us, that will be the space and the place. And we'll be going back to Megan in just a moment to wrap up this week's show about universities and societies. But I'm just going to punt, there's a few topics that we still need people to talk about. So if you're involved in any sort of outdoor sports, we've mentioned sports and societies here, then please do get in touch with the Facebook page. Messaging the page is the best way to get featured on the show if you're between the ages of 18 and 30 and live in the area of Kent. And you can always contribute on the Facebook page where I post questions for future podcasts. If you post your answers and comments, we'll probably be featuring them all in the future of the show. And again, all links are in the description. So, Megan, to wrap up this show, what would you say you've taken away or learned from talking about your experience at uni on the show?
I've learned the importance of putting yourself out there, regardless of how daunting it can be, and it can be so scary, and it's so tempting to think, I don't want to do this, I want to protect myself from this. Putting yourself out there, taking the small step, or the huge step, of joining something like a sport or society, or going along to Tuesday Chill or the Fresh events, it can help you make new friends, and it can really change your university experience. You can make friends for life at university.
Yeah.
You know, you can even meet your future husband. We've had quite a few people in societies who've got engaged recently.
Really?
So it can change your life. So making that leap.
Yeah.
And putting yourself out there will change your life.
It's quite easy to put off joining a society. Yeah. I know I did. I went along to some of the film society stuff, which was also a great society. Would definitely recommend joining the film society. But apart from that, I wasn't too involved in many others. And I think it's very easy for someone who's a little bit more alone to take a step out of it. Is there anything you finally wanted to say for someone who is very still much on the edge, if you want to just try and sell it a little more?
Yeah, if you're on the edge, it can be really nerve-wracking. So it's about making adaptations that suit you. So if you don't feel comfortable about going along on your own, see if you've got someone else, or a housemate, or someone from your course who might come along, even for the first session with you. Or, like I said, message to society. Say, I'm feeling really, really nervous and scared. Can I meet someone before the society takes place? It's completely your choice about whether you join. And actually, you may go along to society and think, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
There are so many different societies at Christ Church that there will be something for everyone. And if not, form your own one.
Get it started, get the ball rolling, step out your comfort zone.
There's also academic societies. So these are linked to subjects, so that could be a great way, because it means that you may already know some people who go. So psychology has got a really active one, midwifery has, nursing's got a brand new society this year.
Wow.
So if you're at Salomons, they've got a new society, Southsock. There's history's got one, politics has got one. So those are a great way of linking your academics.
Because it's more of an extension, really, isn't it? And then still gives you the chance to be social.
Yeah.
And to close off, really, what are some of your favourite society memories over the years? Moments that could either be work or from when you were a student. Some of your best moments.
So I remember my first show choir concert was in the converted church. Its name's complete. Left my mind, but I had my very first concert in there, and it was so amazing. And I remember I felt so emotional, and I'm a really emotional person, that I just stopped myself from crying the whole night because it was all just so... We were in a church and everyone's voices sounded so beautiful. I remember one society social, it was a Disney dress-up night and I was dressed up as Tinkerbell.
Great moment.
Yeah, so those are highlights. Harry Potter Society, we had a lot of fun. We did quizzes. We used to go to Penny Theatre every Tuesday night and we'd have desserts there.
Nice.
And then with that society, a few of us ended up going to LeakyCon in Dublin a few years back.
Wow.
So I was friends with them till after university as well. At Christ Church SU, fun moments. I loved getting to know the students. So when I would be interviewing a student or doing photo shoots with students, like meeting students, those were my positive memories.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us and telling us all about it, Megan. Really appreciate you coming on the show. How have you found it?
I've loved it, thank you, and feel free to invite me back at some other
Lovely.
time.
We're definitely going to get Megan back on the show to maybe even expand this. So if you guys have got questions, definitely leave them in the comments because we could address them in a future podcast episode that's after the spooky Halloween stuff. You know, it feels weird talking about Halloween because it's... What day is it today?
It's the 4th.
The 4th of September. And we're talking about Halloween. We'll be talking about Christmas soon.
Yeah, I can't believe it's already September. This year's flown by.
Yeah, it's like we've just finished summer and we're already getting into Halloween and Christmas. But don't want to think about that yet. We're almost there. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Matt.
Not a problem. We're going to be getting Megan back on, definitely, to talk again.
So one more thing, if you do want to find out more about sports and societies, or even just generally getting involved at Christ Church, visit ccsu.co.uk. And that will give you so much information on what Christ Church Students' Union is and how to get involved.
Lovely. And all the links to those, every link that we've said today is going to be in the video description on YouTube. And if I put this up on SoundCloud as well. So there is every single chance that you've got to join a society or create one is going to be in the description. So thank you very much for sharing it, Megan. We have loads still to come up. We've got the spooky Halloween stuff coming soon. We've got Mitch who's going to be coming on about cars. Going back to all of your comments on the questions I've been asking on Facebook. Thank you very much for listening. And it's goodbye from Megan.
Bye-bye.
I don't know, I didn't rehearse that.
Yeah. All right, goodbye, everybody.
And it's a goodbye from me. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next week in the next episode of the My Generation podcast.